Hello, Sean. How are you? As promised, this is my six continent, six books, short books revisited, the wrap up. As you know, as everybody knows, I did a flip the camera in September, and I showed you six books, which I wanted to read, and and I told you about them. They are six books set in six different continents, and they are all shorts. And I read them all in September, and I want to do a wrap up now. So here they are. First one was the one from Australia, or Oceania really is the continent, and this book was from Australia. It's The Jaguar by Sarah Holland Bett, and this is a poetry collection which won the Stella Prize 2022 in Australia, and it's poetry. I'm not a very big reader of poetry, let's put it that way, but I'm trying. And this one made me, I really did like it. I did an audio book combinations, and Sarah Holland Bett reads the poems herself, so that helped. I thought it's about a collection, firstly about her father's illness. He has Parkinson, and the way they work, it goes about. He gets worse, and then he dies. And she describes that in her book, at least in the first part, and that was especially the most beautiful part of the book. It was very touchy, and you could relate to her and to her book and to her father, with her father and her pain and all kinds of things. The book is divided in four parts, and it's the other the second and the third are definitely not so good. The fourth becomes is also less interesting, let's put it that, except for the last part, which she goes back, the last poems, which she goes back to her father and who he was, and how he and the end, let's put it that way, how he died and what it meant to them. I thought this was a very interesting book. I can imagine that it won because of the way she describes things and the way she uses words, and it did make me feel like okay. I'm still not very much into poetry. I mean, I sometimes don't even understand them, but these ones were quite understandable, at least the first ones, which for the first ones I would have given it a 5 stars, 5 stars. Because of the rest, I just gave it a 4 star, and I think that's quite good for a poetry collection. And I really do think that you all should read it, because it's really very emotional. Book has 125 pages, lots of poems, because poems are short, and yes, a good start of those six books I was reading. So that was The Jaguar by Sarah Holland Bett. The next book I read was, and I'm showing them also in the way I presented them in the first video, and it's also the way I read them. So this one was from the continent of Asia. This is a book from Korea, Concerning My Daughter, by Kim Yi Yang, and translated by Jamie Chang. The original was from 2017, and the translation is from 2022, so it's a very recent book. And 163 pages, again, very short. This is a book about, it's told by the perspective of a mother who has gay daughter, and because of situations and reasons, the daughter and her girlfriend move in with her mother. um, the mother finds that very complicated. She feels like she doesn't understand. She really doesn't understand the reasons, and she doesn't understand anything. There's not. They don't really talk with each other about anything. I find, and the mother, which is her perspective, is very worried about the future of her daughter. Who is going to care for her when she dies, when she gets older? Because she has nobody. That's how she puts it. Um, that's part of the story. The other side of the story is that the mother, at the same time, is a carer in a home, and she takes care of an older woman who has starting to have dementia or something like that, but used to be a very intelligent and a very well-connected professor, or so a very um, intelligent, a very good person who had a lot of money also, and but because of her career and things like that, or maybe other reasons we don't know, she never got married and never had children. And the only child she used to take care for was somebody who she made something like a boy, I think in the Philippines or something like that, who she was paying for his education and stuff like that. So again, the mother, who I don't think has a name, I think again the mother finds herself wondering uh, why so much time spent on others and on your education, and now you don't have anybody, and now nobody's caring for you, and nobody worries about you, and nobody's taking care of your needs and stuff like that. Those two stories, those 2 points of view of two stories, let's put it that way, get connected, and it turns into it continues. The story continues. Let's put it that way. And although I don't think the mother at the end completely understands her daughter and her girlfriend and the girlfriend, um, she starts to accept the fact that this is it, and they are together. I read some people saying that it was very homophobic. I didn't think it was homophobic. I think it was more like unknown. I mean, she doesn't because she doesn't tell her daughter to leave. She doesn't tell the girlfriend to leave, although she doesn't like the girlfriend, or she doesn't feel anything for the girlfriend. But so I think it was a very good book. I think it was well written. It was very engaging. I read it very fast, as always. Um, it's definitely a description of Korean society and the way they are organized, and the fact that it's still probably very much into if you don't have somebody who takes care of you, you are not well off. Let's put it that way. Um, I gave this one 4.5 stars, I think, and yeah, I thought it was a very good book. And yeah, I might read more about from Kim Yi Ying if I find something. Okay, next I went to Europe, and I went to Spain, and I went to Catalonia, and I read When I Sing Mountains Dance. Well, I did a audio book combination, and I did a weird audio book combination because I had the book in English. I listened to the book in Spanish. So a weird combination. Book is written by Irene Sola, and the translation in English is by Maria Feye Lettem. It's translated from the Catalan, so both things I did was a translation because I don't read or listen to Catalan. But yeah, I thought this was a very interesting book. Let's put it that way. Book was written in Catalan and I think in Spanish too in around 2019, translated in 2022. It has about 200 pages. Why did I listen it in Spanish? Is because I thought the book asked for me as a Spanish speaking person, asked for me to listen to it in Spanish. It was also quite true. I'm not saying that translation is not good because I used to watch and listen sometimes and look up how they had described things. And what I found was, for example, that's a couple of things that are assumed to be known in Spanish or in Catalan, I suppose, were sometimes translated slash explained in the English version, so that at least you know what they are talking about, because sometimes you don't know what they're talking about. Good, that's one. This book is strange. Let's put it that way. It's beautiful. It's beautiful written, and it's about what's it about. I mean, they are like some kind of connected stories. It's about a community in the mountains in Catalonia. It's not really pointed out a place or but there are mountains in Catalonia, so that it's where it's put on. It's kind of the same people more or less in the stories, only the point of views are completely every time of somebody else or something else. Let's put it that way. The first one starts with the weather and the rainstorms, and those kind of things are the ones who are telling this first story. There is a story about a fox, and the other story about witches. So it's quite complicated. It's not the word, but it's not. It's not definitely not linear. I'm not really sure when it's really. In certain ways, it has a feeling about being set around after the Second World War until now. But sometimes it flies back to the Middle Ages by way of speaking, or maybe even before that. I think most of it is about the way a very rural place is more and more involved, zeg maar, say, let's say, and how the modern world it makes an impact on that rural world, and on the mountains, and on the nature, and on the animals who live in those mountains, and what happens when there is a lot of hunting or stuff like that. So it's beautifully written. I mean, I can't say anything else than that. But it's not a book you can read in one sitting and think, okay, it's an interesting story. It's a book to be enjoyed slowly, and in certain ways, you have to maybe reread it sometime to think about what's being said, and what's really the point of the book. So this one was quite complicated. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody because I don't think everybody would like it, but I did like it enough, and I did give it 4 stars. I really enjoyed listening to it in Spanish because it was more, um, it came more alive for me as a Spanish speaking person. So, well, okay. So this was When I Sing Mountains Dance by Irene Sola. And I do love this cover. I think it's the most beautiful covers of all the books I read. So this one came from Spain. And then we moved on to Africa and to Burkina Faso. And I read So Distant from My Life by Monique Ilbudo, translated by Yari Kamara. Um, this book was written in, let me see, in 2022, also translated in 2022. It's a very short book. It has no more than 125 pages. And it describes the world of a young man. His name is Janfi, I think. Janfi, in a fictional West African city called Ubani. But it's probably based on Burkina Faso or another of those West African countries. Um, in the beginning, Janfi is the one who's telling the story. His point of view is the one who's telling the story. And because of all kinds of reasons, he wants to leave city, his country, and move to Europe. So he starts, first of all, hustling and finding out ways to find money to get to make the crossing. And he gets until Morocco, and then he's sent back for all kinds of reasons. It's not, I mean, this book is very short, as I said. It has 125, and lots of things happen. So it's very episodic and not quite into all the details of how horrible the trek was or things like that. It's just that it happened. So he comes back to the city, and somewhere along the way he meets a Frenchman, an older Frenchman, a quite older Frenchman who wants to do good in West Africa, an African country, and wants to build schools or something like that. This Frenchman has got involved with other men who are really cheating him, and also embroiled in all the bureaucracy that he doesn't understand, and he doesn't know how to work with it. Jean-Philippe, one reason or the other, starts working for this man, and he moves into the house of this man, and for a long time he's like his right hand person. And then suddenly, well, at a certain moment, the Frenchman makes a move, makes a pass, and first Jean-Philippe is disgusted, and then he decides he's going to go for it because that's his ticket out to France. So he goes for it, and he gets into a relationship with a Frenchman, and he goes to France, and he lives in France for a couple of years, and then he realizes, this is not me, this is not what I want, and he returns back to his city, and starts another NGO there, and things happen. A very, very interesting book. Very interesting, well written, and it makes a point about how people are acting when they are poor and they have no other options. At the same time, the white NGOs and the way they are trying to change or make a difference, but at the same time from a very colonial way of thinking sometimes. Yeah, it's an interesting book to read, and So Distant from My Life is definitely one I really did like. I gave it 4.5 stars. And then I had from Canada, All the Shiny People by Katie Friedman. This one is a collection of short stories. It was written in 2022, and it's about short stories, interconnected, kind of uh, about the Jewish community in Toronto, Canada, and no, Jewish South African community in Toronto. Let's put it that, because South Africa does play a role in all these stories, or at least some of them. Um, I thought some of the stories were very good, other ones were moi. I I did like it. I do think she does write a very good. She does write good, right? But sometimes um, I missed something about okay. Except for the fact that Cathy Friedman is a Jewish, is somebody from a Jewish South African descent. Sometimes I wondered why make that a point, because sometimes it didn't make any sense to discuss this. It's about families, friends, relations, feeling settled or not settled, missing, being an immigrant. Some of the stories are about that, but others are about second or third generation of people who grew up here, grew up in Canada. I mean, so although I did like some of the stories and I did like the her writing, this one was the my least favorite book of the six I did, and this was it was a 4-star read, but I think of all of them, this is one that I will probably forget the fastest. Let's put it that way. But if you want to read a short story collection, these are a lot of there are a lot of good ones. Katie Friedman, all the shiny people from Canada, and then I read La Azotea by Fernanda Trias, or as the translation is called The Rooftop, and it was translated by Annie McDermott. Book was originally written in 2000, and the translation is from 2021 or 22. I'm not quite sure. It's a very short story again, and I'm going to say thankfully, because no. Okay, it has 140 pages. Fernanda Trias is from Uruguay, and this was by far my best book. This one was a 5-star book, and I thought it was one. It was very, 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 very good. It's about a woman. She's the one. Her point of view is the only one we hear, and she is, well, I'm going to say she's probably she is suffering from paranoia and claustrophobia and all kinds of phobias and things. And the book starts at the end. Let's put it that way. She feels the end is coming, and she has to write down what she thinks has happened. And then she goes back, and then she at the end it's more almost the same. Um, her name is Clara. She lives in an apartment with her father and her 2 year old daughter. When she starts telling the story, Clara tells us that she's moved in with her father after her stepmother Julia died, and Julia left quite a lot of money. So they are living on the money of what Julia left behind. Um, in the beginning, Clara still goes out, but more and more she doesn't. And she not only she doesn't go out, but she seems to be um, keeping her father in the house and not letting him go out. First, it's you get the feeling for maybe he is ill, but more and more you have the feeling that she's she's telling everybody that this is the only safe place, and the man has to stay in the house too. So he stays in the house, and he only lives in his bedroom. And if she has to leave, she does close the door and and lock it. Um, so that starts already weird. And then a certain moment, she has a baby. No idea. It's not really clear who's the father. Is it her father that she had sex with and had a baby? Is it was it another man? It's not clear, and it never gets clear either. But there is a baby, and it's a daughter, and she gets born. The only contact we also know about from Clara is her neighbor, who is a woman who helps her with the pregnancy and the birth, because Clara doesn't trust doctors. So the woman helps her with that, and the woman also starts being the one who uh, gets all the shopping done. So Clara makes a list and gives her money and puts more and more. She puts the things outside, and then the other woman goes and do the shopping, and more she just not is not even letting the woman get into the house, but has to leave everything outside. And more she starts to think that everybody's against her, and that they are looking at her, they are watching her, they are controlling her. um, Her only escape for a while is the rooftop. So that's why the book is called the Azotea. She lives in an apartment, and she can go upstairs, and she watches the world from upstairs on the rooftop. But even that becomes an issue, not because she has to get out to get on the stairs and go up to the rooftop. And well, you never know what will happen. So the books gets more and more like closing in on Clara and her family, but also on us readers. I mean, I was like, oh my God, woman, get help or something like that. Okay, it wasn't happening. So that's why I said, thank God it's just a short book, because I don't think it would be very wisely to read it more. At the same time, this was unbelievably good. Fernanda Trias is she writes very clear. She makes it very clear what's happening, and at the same time, you find yourself wondering what's this all about. So yeah, uh, definitely a 5 star if you can find it. The Rooftop by Fernanda Trias. I think it was published in English by Charco Press. Definitely go and read it if you like strange books by women, written by women, about women, and yeah, I don't even know what to say, but yeah, okay. So that was my last book. They were so it was a very good choice of me. I mean, I chose 6 books, and they were all quite good. Oh, by the way, considering this one is from Uruguay, this is South America, right? And this one would be North America, for if the ones who want to know the continents too. These were my 6 books. They were very good. They were quite interesting, and yeah, I really liked it. So I'm going to say goodbye, and then I'll see you next time. Bye bye.